Okay, so a lot of talk in the newspaper recently about Tampines and cash flow problems, and so I thought I'd get on the phone to Krishna, the chairman of the Stags, and find out exactly what's going on. So he invited me around to his house, and we'll see what the crack is. Why is Singapore so hot? Here he is. Huh.
Hey, buddy.
How are you, bro?
Very good.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Thank you for your time. Nice house. Right, Krishna, so I opened up the newspaper, and it's talking about cash flow problems, and are there any reasons for any Stags fans to be sort of upset, worried?
Well, worried and for sure if you don't necessarily understand what cash flow means, because as you and I know, cash flow is a problem which plagues all companies. Before revenue starts coming through, you have got some obligations which need to be paid out, and if a company does not have reserves that it can tap on, then that becomes a cash flow issue. So it does not necessarily mean it's a profit and loss issue,
Right.
but it might be a cash flow issue because you get paid for example, at the end of the month.
Sometimes,
right? Yeah. And you go out and buy this beautiful gizmo, right?
Yeah.
It's $2,000. And how do you deal with your cash flow? It's a credit card, right? But the club doesn't have a credit card. But the club gets subsidies from the FAS throughout the year, and by all accounts, I think we have satisfied all the KPIs, and we should be entitled to 100% of the subsidies that they should be giving us. So I think...
So subsidies are there.
Yeah, subsidies are there, but they are drip-fed.
You just want them now.
Yeah, they're drip-fed to us throughout the year. And so to have it upfront in a lump sum, or at least in more sizable portions, makes it a lot easier for us to start other initiatives which would generate revenue, like our academy, for instance.
Hang on, but that's kind of a bad precedent, isn't it?
Mm.
For because all the other clubs are going to want.
Yeah, but we are a new club. We're a new club. We are new management. The management committee has not technically been appointed. Actually, I mean it's been identified, but we have not actually had our AGM. We don't do any jackpot operations. And so, for all intents and purposes, we are a new club. And
So what happens if they say sorry, can't do that?
yeah,
You're going to have to comply and stick with the original business model. Well, how screwed are you?
well, the problem is we are all agents of the FAS and the S League. We under the Constitution we operate under the direction. Not under the direction, but under the guidance, and the ultimate authority rests on the S League and the FAS. In every club's constitution, the FAS, the S League, have the ultimate say. They appoint the chairman. They appoint the management committee. So, you may be my greatest mate, and if I wanted you as my vice chairman, right?
Thanks.
I couldn't just do that. So
Right.
there is a huge level of authority that's exerted by the FAS and the S League through the constitution that is imposed on all the clubs, which then naturally means that if they should be looking after the clubs when they encounter some issues. And now we're not talking about fraud. We're not talking about going out there and getting 22 Lamborghinis for each of the players.
Sure.
Right. Just talking about paying the players their salaries, hiring coaches.
So if I'm a player, am I worried if I'm a player of Tampines?
I wouldn't be, because I've
And what's happened to the old chairman? Has he pumped in enough cash now?
well, he's pumped in a lot of cash. He's called it a day. He's entitled to to pull out if he wants to, and he has actually. But I've always mentioned, right, the personal benefactor model just doesn't work. It should not work because you rely on one individual who's going to continuously support the club, whereas actually the model that should work should be academies, schools, revenue generating schemes from sponsors, bite-sized sponsors. But that's when everything gets going. Now there's a deeper and greater issue about the viability of the S League, right? And the product offering of the S League, right?
Yeah.
You just imagine like the S League is taekwondo, right? Now, who's going to want to watch taekwondo outside of Singapore? But if you kind of like remodel it as taekwondo with a bit of MMA, with some females involved, female fighters involved, and then you put the whole social networking scene, then all of a sudden you're reaching a demographic that you're currently not reaching, the 15 to 28 year olds, they're untouched, right? But then when sponsors see that you're reaching that part of the demographics, they're like, hang on, okay, it's worth supporting an S League club. So
you're asking for some help, really, from the FAS. You're saying
from the FAS for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not denying that. I mean, I think
Well, so it seems fair enough. Like, you're doing so much. Look at you've got the Olympic, the National Stadium in use.
Yeah,
and raised the profile. I was talking to a taxi driver before. He knows all about Tampines now.
Oh, really? And people don't realize that. They think that we are just splurging everything out. But I've been a lawyer for 20 years, and I negotiate a lot.
Sure.
The National Stadium is virtually free.
Wow.
Pennant costs 20,000 a month, not 50, 60,000 as people reported, right? Gerard Houllier is free. I mean, he's happy to help out and give his counsel. So none of those supposedly expensive expenditure, right, were really expensive or even cost them anything. But look what it did for Singapore football branding.
Yeah.
Right? Has a Singapore club ever had more than X number of hits worldwide?
Sure. Am I doing interviews with the Singapore chairman? Am I?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't before. I'll give you the tip.
Right. So
it's good.
So, yeah, I know. So and to be fair, and that was a very astute observation, because first few months, I was like getting, Lim Chin and and Zai and Winston, they were all saying great things. Well done. This is exactly what we needed for Singapore football. Right. And so I'm calling in my chips now.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying, thank you very much, guys. Let's see what we can all now do for Singapore football, because this great club, Tampines Rovers, needs some help now.
Right. Okay. Right. That was the sweatiest interview ever. I'm going to edit that now. I mean, it seems fair enough, right? What he's asking for. I think that he's got a lot of pats on the back, trying to do some good things. Of course, with the business, there's always cash flow problems, so you try and sort them out. I mean, I don't know how bad it is or how it's going to pan out, but I don't think there's any harm in asking the FAS for some help, right? And then we all go down to the National Stadium and support Tampines against Selangor.